Hey everyone, this is Mike, co-founder of Hummingbot again, with the third video in our Hummingbot 2.1 series, cross-exchange market making. So hopefully you've seen the first two videos, which covered how to install Hummingbot using both Docker as well as from source, as well as the second one, which was focused on how to run a market making strategy in both V1 and V2. So today we'll do the same treatment for cross-exchange market making, one of the classic flagship strategies that people have run with Hummingbot. So just a bit of background. We started about 5 years ago as a pretty simple CLI tool that people could use to automate their market making strategies. And the reason people used it was because it integrated to many exchanges. And today it's evolved into a more powerful framework. But overall, the ability to market make on one exchange while hedging your risk on another one is still one of the primary use cases. So that's actually why I think we see Hummingbot used quite a lot across many different exchanges, because people are probably making a market on the long tail of exchanges, whether it's Binance UX or BingX or the 127 other exchanges here, and they're using Hummingbot to hedge their risk on a more liquid exchange, for instance, Binance or BitGet or OKX. So we see Hummingbot used quite a lot, and this is actually a public dashboard that we report and is available on our website. So before I get into the meat of how to do the cross-exchange market making strategy using Hummingbot, let me give a shout out to Botcamp, which is our educational arm. So Botcamp offers professional certification in kind of pre-recorded courses, as well as more intensive kind of like multi-week cohorts. So we've had over hundreds of people go through the cohorts, many more buy the courses, and overall we feel like we're delivering good value for money, because it's one of the few kind of like professional grade algo trading and market making educational platforms out there. So please check it out. And also it's really the same kind of like the folks who are teaching Botcamp who are maintaining Hummingbot. So you get to really see what the latest improvements are to the framework and all the things you can do with Hummingbot. So with that, let's dive into the cross-exchange market making strategy. So the cross-exchange market making strategy was actually one of the first ones we developed at Hummingbot because we were initially funded by a grant from 0x, who wanted people to provide liquidity to Radar Relay while being able to hedge on centralized exchanges like Binance. So the basic premise is that if you have a more liquid exchange and a less liquid exchange, a market maker who has access to both venues is able to provide liquidity on the less liquid exchange, which is exchange B in this diagram. And if they are filled, either the buy order or the sell order, they can hedge and they can basically do the inverse of the trade at a spread. And so it's almost like essentially like an arbitrage. So for example, in this case here, if the market maker's sell order is filled, and so essentially what this means is that they're selling at 102, they want to basically take this sell offer here and buy at 101. And so in order to do this, the market maker needs a bot. The bot has to track the orders on the more liquid exchange, maintain orders at a spread on the less liquid exchange, and when a fill happens, the bot should then automatically take the order on the more liquid exchange. So that's basically what the cross-exchange strategies Hummingbot do. But before we do this, let's actually look at the exchange itself to see how it works. So when you're running the cross-exchange market making strategy, usually you're placing orders on two different exchanges. So let's look at these two exchanges. On my right, this is Kraken, and we're looking at the PayPay USD pair. And on my left, this is PayPay USDT on OKX. So this is just a demo example. So we shouldn't expect to see a huge spread or a huge opportunity here. But the general premise in cross-exchange market making is to select two exchanges where there's one that's wider and there's one that's tighter. And so here we can see that there is some difference where this spread between the top bid and the top ask is something like 0.005. It can fluctuate to this decimal place. Here it seems like it's a little bit tighter, where the spread here is usually kind of like between 1 or 2 rather than 5 or 6 over here. So, and I think this could be because fees here on Kraken are higher. It could be because this is the USD market, whereas this is the USD market. But there is some spread we might be able to exploit here, especially if markets widen out. So what we'll do is we'll make a market on Kraken, and we will try to hedge our exposure on OKX as a taker market. So we'll look at two different ways to run the cross-exchange market making strategy. The first is a more simpler v1 script in Hummingbot, and the second is using a controller. So let's first look at the v1 script. Here is a diagram of how it works. So this is the logic that the script executes every tick. First, it fetches prices from the taker market. This is the more liquid market where it's going to hedge on. It's going to use this as a source for deriving where it should place the prices on the maker market. And then it applies a spread to the orders. This is basically the difference, the differential, where if the order is filled, then there's some room for it to make that hedge. And so that's where it uses to calculate the price of the orders that's placing on the maker market. And then it refreshes the orders every so often, especially if the spread reaches below the minimum spread. And one piece of logic I didn't have here is, of course, when a fill happens, it automatically takes the order, typically at market or typically using a limit taker on the taker market. Okay, so let's go ahead and first let's take a look at the script itself. So this script is one of the main scripts that ships with the Hummingbot code base. So if you look at the scripts directory, you'll find the simple XEMM script here. So here we can see the configs that are prompted when the user defines the script config file, and here is the script itself, where essentially this is the logic that is executed every tick. So you can see that the logic is pretty simple. It's essentially just placing the orders, and then there is a did fill order event that it waits for, where this defines what happens, and then finally there's some there's some logic down here that customizes what is shown in the status command. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this script in action. So here is the version of Hummingbot that we had installed from source earlier. Refer to the first video in the series on installation if you want to learn how to install Hummingbot. Note that I did find one issue when I was testing out the strategy earlier, which is why I pushed a pull request, and now it's been merged. So that's why I'm using the development branch as opposed to the master branch. So let's go ahead and first ensure that we're in the right environment, which we are. The way I got here was I said get checkout development. This is actually this allows me to check out the development branch, and then I activated the conda environment with conda activate Hummingbot. So now that we're ready to go, I'm gonna run start to open Hummingbot, and then we will look at the CLI client. So I've already defined a password, and which is used to encrypt the API keys I've stored here. And let's take a look at the balance command to see what assets we have available. So here I've already added credentials for Kraken, in addition to the ones we added earlier in the first installation video for OKX and OKX Perpetual. So now I'll create a strategy config file, and I'll do one for the simple XEMM script. So this is where we're going to be asked the list of questions I showed earlier in the script file itself, and this is where we will basically answer the questions here in order to define the configuration for the script. Okay, so let's go ahead and create it. The first question is which exchange, the maker exchange, where the bot will place orders. So we want this to be Kraken. The second one is the maker pair. So this one will be PayPay USD. And the second one is where the taker exchange will be. So that we want that to be OKX, and the taker pair to be PayPay USDT. The order amount. Let's take a look at the order amount here. Let's see. We look at the price of PayPay. Excuse me, a second. The price of PayPay, look right now, it's like something like this, 0.0001. So I think about 1 million PayPay. I think it's around something like $5 or $10. So that's probably a good one to use. So let's go for 1 million PayPay. And so here we're going to define the spread between the maker order and the taker order. Note that in the simple XEMM script, it does not take fees into account. So we should take into account fees when defining our spread here. Maker fees on Kraken are 0.2625%, I think right now, while taker fees on OKX are 0.1%. So that means that for every trade where we're getting filled on the maker side and then doing a taker trade on the taker side, we're paying a combined 0.3% in fees. So that means that if we want to mix anything here, we should put a spread that's at least 30 basis points. So let's put something like 40 basis points here. Okay. So here, now we can define a name for our configuration. So let's give it something a little bit more rememberable. And so we'll call it, let's say, Kraken PayPay. Okay. All right. So now that we've created we can now run it by using the start command. And then we will use script. And then we'll put in the script name. And then we'll use a conf flag to define a configuration. And so here is the one I just saved. It looks like I saved a PayPay Kraken one earlier, which is, I think, not the one. So here is the one that we just saved, and let's run it. So on the log pane, you can see that it's initializing the controllers for both OKX and for Kraken, and now it's placing the orders. So if we run the status command, we can see the orders being placed, and we can see that on the Kraken side, it's placed orders, a buy order at this price and a sell order at this price. You can see that the spread to mid as well as the spread based on the minimum spread that was set. So we should be able to see the orders on the exchange now. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let's see. Yes, indeed, we can see the two open orders here. If the orders are filled, if they are taken, we should be able to observe a fill on OKX as well. So in general, what this script will do is it will try to maintain this spread on these orders on Kraken, and hopefully the buy spread and the sell spread, it will try to make sure that these spreads, these orders, are higher than the min spread, and I think there's a max order age parameter, so it would cancel the orders after they're older than a certain age. So that's pretty much it. So I think this script is really for demo purposes. We expect that those of you who are running in production are typically making a lot of modifications to the script in order to really customize its behavior. So we know that a lot of people are making the same customizations, which is why we added the v2 controller. So let's cover that next. So now that we understand how the v1 simple cross-exchange market making script works, let's look at how the v2 controller improves upon it. So recall from the second video in the series that the strategy v2 framework expands upon Hummingbot by allowing you to create Lego-like components that you can reuse, and so you can run more powerful, more scalable strategies. So in this example, from a single script loader, you can define 3 different sub-strategies as controllers, perhaps one for each trading pair you're making a market on. And each of those controllers can maintain a set of orders. And once those orders are filled, each order converts into an executor, which manages its own risk by setting take profit and stop loss levels. So that's just one example for a market making strategy or a directional strategy. But in this case, for cross-exchange market making, what we want the executor to do is essentially maintain essentially this position. For example, an executor should watch the taker exchange and ensure that there's a spread between the maker exchange price and the taker exchange. So we've designed a custom XEMM executor, which we'll be using in this controller. So here's the overall logic for how the controller works. Overall, it's really the same set of configurations as the script. We're going to ask for the maker exchange and pair, the taker exchange and prepare. But we're going to kind of make instead of having a single spread number, we're going to have essentially a target profitability, which will be one target, and it'll fluctuate between a minimum and maximum profitability. So if the spread deviates either below the minimum profitability or above the maximum profitability, then essentially that's what dictates when the strategy would adjust the orders. In addition, there's a couple of things that this controller does. For example, because every executor, the logic is encapsulated in the executor, the executor fetches the fee rate from the 2 different exchanges and takes into account the transaction costs when determining whether to change the orders or not. So one good property of this is that this allows these v2 controllers to be run on decentralized exchanges. So you can use an AMM, for example, as the taker exchange if you hook up a gateway to this repo. The other thing this allows you to do is define multiple order levels. For example, you may want to set a tighter spread, a tighter target profitability for a smaller order amount, but then reserve a large order amount and target a larger profitability for that. This is very similar to how market makers have larger orders at different order levels. And then, of course, we can now configure this using Dashboard. So let's look at the configuration page in Dashboard to generate a configuration for this and then deploy it using Dashboard as well. Okay, so let's see. Yes, over here. So we have Dashboard, and if you look at the configurations generated here, one of these is the XEMM controller configuration generator. So this is what we use to generate a configuration for the cross-exchange market making controller. Then we can then upload this to backend API and deploy this as a new instance of Hummingbot, just like we did for the cross-exchange market making in the second video in the series. So the maker exchange, just like with a script, will be Kraken, and the taker exchange, the taker connector, will be OKX. So the maker trading pair here, we want this to be PayPay USD, and the taker trading pair, we want it to be PayPay USDT. So recall that this takes into account the the trading fees on OKX and Kraken. So I think in the past, and before we were, I think, using a 40 basis point fee because we were targeting, we had to take that into account. But here, I think we can just express our target min profitability just like this. Sorry. This is the min profitability. So let's use 0 for min profitability, 1% for max profitability. You can see this in the diagram. So if we want this to be a higher amount, we can actually set it like this. Then we can also define a target profitability for each level. So this is the target profitability, and this is the target profitability for the sell side as well. So let's keep the target profitability at 30 basis points for both the sell side and the buy side, and then let's set the min profitability at 0.1. In the maximum profitability, let's set this one at 0.8. So if we wanted to, we could also add more buy and sell maker levels and customize for each maker level all these parameters. So once we're fine with that, now let's give it a name like XEMM Kraken Pepe. Actually, I think I used this name before, so let's use XEMM Kraken. Pepe USDT. Hopefully this will help us differentiate it from prior versions, and then we can upload that configuration to backend API. So once it's in backend API, we can use the deploy tab to deploy it as a running instance. And it looks like, I believe this is the one that we had over here, I believe. So let's reserve this, refresh this. Yes, so I believe this is the one that we had just loaded. One thing to note is that we can choose which instance of Hummingbot to load. And so because I'm using the development branch of Hummingbot, I'm also going to use the development Docker image. And then let's give it a name, XEMM test, call it 1. And again, we're going to use the credentials for the master account where I've added both the Kraken and the OKX credentials here. Okay, so now that we're ready to go, let's go ahead and launch the bot. Oh, okay, let's do that again. XEMM test 1, we'll choose the development branch, and then let's launch the bot. Okay, so in a few seconds, when we go to Instances tab, so let's refresh this, and hopefully we should see it up and running. So looks like the bot has started, and just like with the pure market making simple controller we ran earlier in the second video, we can inspect the client and see the same thing we had before by attaching to the Docker instance. So let's take a look at the active containers. So here is the one that we're running. So let's attach to the Docker container ID. So here it is. It looks like it is placing the orders. So we can let's take a look at the full screen here. And so it does look like it's placing the orders on Kraken, and we can verify that by taking a look over here at Kraken. Yes, indeed, we do see the open orders where it's placing the orders on the Pepe market. So let's see, and then here are our two open orders. So you can see that in the status command, we're seeing more information from the V2 controller than what we had before in the script. We can see that the two trades we're placing on Pepe, on Kraken, the minimum profitability, the max profitability, the target, and the current kind of profitability, as well as the transaction costs we're assuming for each trade. So, and if we had more executors, more order levels, we would also see them here. So overall, though, however, the logic in the strategy is very similar. It's between the script and the strategy. We're basically placing orders taking advantage of the discrepancies in the market between exchanges, and we're placing orders on a less liquid exchange and hedging our risk on a more liquid exchange. So I hope that gives you an overview of how Hummingbot works. And again, as a call out, remember that we offer Botcamp as an educational service to train people in how to use Hummingbot to design and build their own custom algo trading strategies. We offer both cohorts as well as pre-recorded courses that help people really get the most out of the open source framework. So thank you, and hopefully I think we'll make more videos along this series to try to educate people on how to use Hummingbot 2.1. Thanks.